Welcome, everybody. This is the Soul Path Community class, and it is Friday, October 3rd, and we are heading into a full moon on Monday, the 6th of October. And so today we're going to explore this full moon in Aries with the help of our wise owl, taking us into the deeper levels of what is unseen in the dark, right? That's what owls are good at. They can see through the dark. They are the spirit animal of clairvoyance, the ability to see clearly the pictures of life. So I just love this picture to take us into our full moon exploration. First of all, full moons in general represent culmination, the peak of our new moon intentions. Now, this can be 2 weeks ago, our new moon intention, which was actually an eclipse and it was in 29 degrees of Virgo. So maybe there's some intentions you've set there. But, basically every month we have a full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon, sometimes more than one. Uh, of a new moon or full moon. Let me be clear in my speaking as much as possible. Sometimes a longer month we get two new moons or two full moons. And so, there's just this endless cycle, right? It's the wave of creation, culmination and release and a new wave. And so when we come to a full moon, we're looking at maybe something that recently emerged, recently initiated, or something that initiated a long time ago that we can stop and pay attention to and consciously pat ourselves on the back and say, yes, you accomplished that, it's done now. Or, okay, just stop and look at what you're doing and consider it, and then get ready for the next maybe mini launch. When we're in a full moon time, the truth is often revealed. There are insights that come to us. Things that are unconscious might become conscious. And in that, we can be more emotional. The police know that there's more crimes committed in a full moon period. They have to put more officers on patrol at full moon times. So it's like it's that statistically clear that emotions are intense during the full moon. And people who are prone to mental and emotional imbalance will be strongly affected by each full moon. And then, of course, we're going to look at what we need to let go of in a full moon time, something that's no longer needed. And we look specifically at the moon sign itself as the, the likelihood that those are the qualities that we want to let go of. It's the shadow or negative expression of the moon sign. And, remember the astronomy of a full moon is the sun is opposite the moon. And the sun sign we can look at as a little bit of an indication of that forward moving direction. Now, here is the chart for this full moon on the 6th, and the time of it is 11:48 p.m. Eastern. And of course, that's going to be 8:48 p.m. Pacific. And depending, Hawaii, Europe, you're going to be before or after that time period. And the degree level is 14 degrees and 8 minutes. So right in the middle of Aries, Libra. And thinking about the last full moon we had, which was an eclipse, and it was around 15 degrees of Pisces, sun in Virgo, moon in Pisces. So we've moved, a sign over. So, and I know many people in our group have an abundance of Pisces, Virgo energy, and some have an abundance of Aries, Libra. I feel like, our group in general is impacted by this particular series of moons. Now, it doesn't have, sometimes there's a lot of planets that are strongly connected to our full moon, and not so much. I mean, we've got, I noticed here today that the moon is pretty much at the Chiron Neptune midpoint in Aries. So that adds a certain amount of extra emphasis about the sign of Aries, which, we could say is, Chiron suggests that we're working on our wounding about trusting our Aries abilities. Do we believe we are courageous and brave enough to accomplish what we want, to start what we need to start, to do what we need to do? And we know that in the world at this time, with all of the challenges and wars and everything going on, that we're being advised again and again by our leaders that this is a time for courage and bravery. And Chiron, wherever Chiron is in your chart, is pointing that particular light right there for you. It's like, how can you take independent, strong, brave action? And then Neptune, which is just starting this year to come into Aries, where it will stay for many years to come. Pisces is the sign that Neptune rules. And Neptune is very, very different than the sign of Aries. So we have this very interesting process that we're going to be working with for these upcoming years, where the planet that represents oneness, spirituality, compassion, intuition, transcendent creativity, tragic losses, martyrdom, victimization, uh, which has been in Pisces for since 2011 and is edging back now into Pisces for a few months to kind of clean up and clear up. Uh, as it comes in and stays in Aries for these upcoming years, it asks us to take action on all the Neptune Pisces wonderful ideas we've been having. Uh, you know, Everything about equality and fairness and compassion that we've been working on as a collective of how to make life better. This Neptune in Aries takes us into action mode. So in this full moon, if we're looking at it on a global level, we get Chiron and Neptune, like the high frequency of what we might feel on a soul level, like that connection to highest levels of truth and oneness, connection to all that is. And at the same time, Chiron saying, okay, be courageous and brave, and let's start something new. Let's build something, launch something, initiate. And this full moon pulls us into those ideas and says, but let go of the parts that aren't working. Maybe let go of the frustration, the anger, the hostility, the impulsiveness, whatever is not working on an Aries level, divisiveness. And instead, we're going to bring these higher frequency energies in that relate to Libra, balance, harmony, peace, justice, relational skills. Now, on a personal level, think about this in your own life and the people in your life and your own motivations. And there is a directive with the full moon being Sun Libra oriented and the next new moon being a Libra new moon. We're looking at how can you make some new choices that are very strongly rooted in harmony, peace, balance. Before we actually started this class, we were talking a little bit about being tired and napping. And to some extent, that relates to the eclipses we've just had in Pisces Virgo have a lot to do with self-care and health regime. And napping can be part of one's health regime. But napping can also be part of Libra. It can be part of holding the balance, being calm, being peaceful, having a balance between the work that you do and the rest that you need. And when we're letting go of Moon in Aries shadow, that can be that emotionally we're on a treadmill of endless go, 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 go. The highest frequency of Aries energy is about beingness, about just existing and the life force of vitality and the joy of that sense of existence. But sometimes Aries goes into a lot of doingness, and I put the doingness in the medium level for Aries qualities, between our dysfunctional shadow, our average, and our highly evolved qualities. Doing this is something that if you've got Aries in your chart, you know what I'm talking about. It's like it just feels good to be active, to be physically active, to be doing something, to be moving. There's a kinetic quality to the sign of Aries. But if it gets to be too much, if the treadmill is endless and there's no balance and no rest, then we are out of balance. So that Chiron Neptune midpoint really allows us to connect to a high frequency of Aries and trust that it's okay to be that independent and free and yet to let go of habit patterns that keep us from experiencing and manifesting balance in our life. Now, I ran this chart for Washington, D.C., so you see that it's a very tight square to the ascendant-descendant axis. And so this, could conceivably be something that very much relates to the government of the United States. And, in this full moon, there is some kind of um, skip step, harmonizing, balancing energy between, the movement forward that might be nourishing, caretaking, healing, Cancerian, and boundaries and rigidity and structure. And of course, we're dealing in the world with a government shutdown at this point in time, and the apparent reason, I don't think it's really completely accurate, but the apparent reason has to do with the Democrats wanting um, more healthcare funding and not to have the cuts that are in the current budget. But in your own life, depending on where you live, like if you live in the East Coast, you're going to feel that sense of the cross, the cardinal cross. But in other areas, it'll be different. And also, this depends too. You can think about your own chart. Do you have significant planets at the mid degrees of the cardinal signs, including Cancer and Capricorn? And of course, we will look at some charts after we go through the philosophy here. Um, I also noticed that this full moon is in conjunct the lunar nodes pretty tightly. So the lunar nodes, Virgo, for a year and a half, letting go of worry and anxiety seems almost impossible these days, but that's what the sky is asking us to do. And I think it asks us to know like where you have power, where you have authority, what part of your life can you take skillful action and solve problems and be part of solutions. And Venus is there at this point in time, is really asking us to look at our relationships and the service that we can offer in a tangible way to the people that we care about. And the Pisces is asking us to surrender and trust and be with our spiritual practice. And so is Saturn back in Pisces again for the next few months, giving us one more chance to bring Saturn's discipline, boundaries, and seriousness, maturity to all things Pisces in our life. So we have this opportunity to come back again and look at our spiritual path, look at our Virgo healing path, and make serious, committed choices to taking care of ourselves in a worldly body way and in a spiritual way. So I'm going to ask you to really think about that now and going into the next few weeks. And I also noticed, and I just think it's worth thinking about as we're going into this next week and this full moon, that as Mercury, which would be in Libra right now, today as we're speaking, but will be in Scorpio by Monday, it's in a hard aspect with Pluto, square to Pluto, and quincunx to Uranus. So I love this Pluto Uranus trine. I know it's hard right now, and I know the shadow energies are up, and everything is just kind of topsy-turvy and challenging, and it's hard to know what to think or to stay stress-free. But overall, the trine between these two planets is meant to build a more transformed, awakened society. And it sextiles to the Saturn-Neptune alignment, which is also about structuring and building something into our society that is more compassionate. And just the overall vibe of this is fairness and equality. And we have to admit that no matter who, politically is in power, we haven't had a lot of fairness and equality throughout the world for a very, very long time. So we can hope that in going through the struggles we go through at this time, that ultimately this is what we're about building. And Mercury in a hard aspect to this, indicates that we're prone in this full moon to be thinking about the hard choices that are in front of us and thinking about uh, deep issues in our own lives. And Scorpio can bring us to a kind of ruthless honesty where we see things clearly. We're not sugarcoating. So, in terms of where Pluto and Uranus are in your chart by transit, where those early degrees of air, Aquarius and Gemini, and where the Pluto is dredging up unconscious patterns for you, and Uranus is waking you up to new ideas, right now, as we come into this full moon, Mercury, the mind, communication, is drawing you to think about these things a little bit more clearly than maybe normal. So I would encourage you over this weekend to spend some time thinking about what's working in your life and what is not working, and what would you like to let go of in this full moon. In full moon ceremony, what we suggest to do is to write down on a piece of paper what you're letting go of, what doesn't work for you anymore, and burn it. Burn it safely, and usually in the sink or a barbecue is what I do. Um, Burn it as this release. Very specifically, what does not work in your life anymore. And Libra, what would bring more harmony, more balance, more peace, and overall relationships? There's so much in this chart about relating. And as we go through this time period of radical transformation on the planet, our personal connections with each other are critical. We need family, friends, circles like we have in this community to feel supported and to have Venus at the South Node, to have Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio relates to depth, intensity, and honesty. And this full moon with the sun in Libra, it does draw our attention to our most important connections. Now, here for you to, kind of call some ideas in Libra qualities starting at the highest levels are peaceful, balanced, fair, and harmonious, maybe diplomatic, relational, mediating. Libra is great for collaboration and mediation. And Libra, as it starts to go into shadow, nothing is always eye level, can maybe be seductive, vacillating for sure. And you've got strong Libra, you know about that going around and around in circles and seeming to procrastinate. Although I feel like with that kind of Libra vacillating, a lot of times all the different possibilities and everybody's needs are taken into consideration before a decision is made. So when the decision is made, it is a harmonious, balanced decision. But Libra is known for being maybe a little ingratiating or insincere in trying to be relational. So we want that little bit of Scorpio in there so that there's honesty and clarity in the relationship, not just trying to please everybody. And the Aries qualities at their highest, again, are to be alive, to feel active and free and courageous and brave, joyful, the sunflower, rising up and facing the sun can be also self-oriented in a positive way, consciously self-oriented, or also, moving into overly selfish, angry, too competitive, possibly even violence comes from the sign of Aries. So when we're looking at the release of Aries energy, keep in mind where you feel like a lot of times when we're spiritually oriented, we don't think of ourselves as violent or overly angry, but we can be frustrated, resentful, depressed. Those are the ways that the anger comes forward in a kind of a hidden way. So wherever you're holding on to resentment, that may be something that you can fit into this meditation. So the next thing we're going to do here in the class is a meditation to work with the full moon energy. And then after the meditation, I'll look at some charts for people who are here in the class today. So to come into this meditation, bring your body to a comfortable position. Taking slow, deep breaths. As you breathe, we call on the highest level spirit guides and healers to fill you with light. And you can imagine beautiful color or colors of light pouring into your body through the crown of your head. And also pouring around your body, swirling around in the aura, the energy field. Imagining that you are filled with light and surrounded with light, protective and healing. And as you breathe, imagine this energy swirling back and forth like this infinity symbol. The energy going side to side like a figure eight. And just imagining to start with the Aries and the Libra qualities. That the fiery Aries helps you be courageous and brave and initiate, start whatever you need to start in your life. And yet, the Libra provides the harmony and balance. With Libra, you consider others. And with Aries, you connect into your own inner truth, knowing that if you start with what you need, you have more to give to others. And so this energy goes back and forth, balancing self and others, action and harmony, courage and considerations. And in this bubble of light, imagine that you are floating through time and space, arriving at a beautiful place in nature. Taking in the trees, flowers, rocks, water, whatever is there. Inhaling through the nose and noticing the scent in the air. Listening for the sounds of nature in the background. Feeling the earth beneath you. Calling in your highest level spirit guides to be with you there, including the animal spirits. You might see them, or at least feel them. Feel the support that you have in living this life. Now, wherever you are, imagine that you have a safe fire in front of you. Might be a little camping-like blaze surrounded by stones. Maybe it's on the beach. Wherever you are in nature, find a little fire that you can sit in front of. Imagining the beauty of the flames. And imagine now that you have paper and pen. And that one by one you write on a piece of paper what you would like to let go of. What's not working in your life, even a little bit. And imagine that you're writing that word or that phrase on a piece of paper and releasing it to the fire. The energy of fire burning up that quality in your life that no longer serves you. Use the sign of Aries to draw your attention to the qualities. It can be things in your life like feeling you're in survival mode. It can be emotions, full moon, release. And now knowing that you can come back and you can add more things to the fire at another time. Move to a place where you can feel the flow. Maybe it's a flow of water, maybe it's a flow of the air, maybe it's in harmony with the earth, stability. Take a moment here to consider what it is that gives you a sense of balance, harmony, clear relationships. And feel the ease and the flow of everything you need coming into the mind, full intention, the flow of peace and balance. Cultivate the feeling of peacefulness right now. The feelings we cultivate become magnetic to what we want. So feel love, harmony, balance, ease, and flow in every aspect of your life. And again, knowing you can come back and do more to create more harmony. For now, bring this whole scene back inside your heart. And feel yourself coming back to your physical body. Imagining yourself just a little lighter, having burned up some old unconscious patterns and brought forward the lightness of balance. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And you may wish to write down a few notes about your experience.